Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGeek webinar series, our endeavor to impart techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is Corporate Krishna. Our guest speaker today is Mr. Puneet Singh, Team Lead, Accenture Services Private Limited. Puneet is a BE MBA and has 6 years of experience. He is currently working as a team lead in Accenture. He has worked with IBM India Private Limited and MTS earlier. He has been in public speaking for last 5 years. Puneet writes articles on topics management lessons from mythology. He has also delivered seminars and conducted workshops on management and leadership. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Puneet.
Hello everybody. So we can start with our session. Can you see my screen?
Puneet, your screen is visible.
Fine. Okay, fine. So we are starting with the session. So the topic for today is Corporate Krishna. Now, why this uncommon and out of league topic? What is its significance and relevance in our corporate lives? Let's have a general discussion on this. When people from other countries ask us that what you are proud of, we Indians generally don't say that we are proud of our cars or perfumes, not even technology. The very first thing which comes to the mind is our culture. We say that we are proud of our culture. We are proud of our heritage. But the question here is, do we know something actually significant about our culture to be proud of? Are we actually aware of our rich heritage? And just to prove this point, how many of us attending this seminar know that how many verses are there in Bhagavad Gita? Or for that matter, how many chapters are there in Mahabharata? And I think you all must have got the answer. Bhagavad Gita has been translated in many languages of the world: French, German, Arabic, and of late into Chinese as well. Many eminent personalities, right from Albert Einstein to Steve Jobs, have read Bhagavad Gita and credited for their success. There is an institute in USA known as California Hypnosis Institute, which is doing research on the life of Lord Krishna to extract management lessons which can be taught to the preschool graduates of those countries. There is a famous historian of Oxford University, Will Durant, who has written a 12-volume book on world history. In that, he has rated Lord Krishna as the best management guru of all times. But the sad part is that these texts have lost their identity, have lost their relevance in their very own motherland. We appreciate it, we love it, we respect it, but the reality is that we don't read it. When it comes to India, there are hardly very few people who actually read Bhagavad Gita and other rich texts and implement it in their lives. And one of the most prominent names which comes to the mind is Mahatma Gandhi. Now, what we know about Mahatma Gandhi is that when he died, he said, "Hey Ram, hey Ram." But what we don't know about Mahatma Gandhi is that he followed Krishna all his life. He used to read Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis and used to implement it in his real life. Now, Mahatma Gandhi, we may love him, we may hate him, we may say that he was responsible for partition of country, he was responsible for creation of Pakistan and many other things. But one thing which we cannot deny about this person is that he brought the people of the country together. He united the people. Now, one most prominent leaders of our India's freedom struggle were Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. Now, I am not taking the names of Bhagat Singh and Chandrasekhar Azad because these two were not as much active on the leadership front which Subhash Chandra Bose was. So the Naram Dal was led by Mahatma Gandhi and the Garam Dal was led by Subhash Chandra Bose. Now we all know what did Subhash Chandra Bose say. What was the slogan given by him? You give me blood, I'll give you freedom. Now Indians at that time were farmers, they were not fighters. India did not have a history of people coming out on roads like the US or the Europe. Now this message did not appeal to many people in the country. Subhash Chandra Bose could not get ample support within the country, and if you all remember your history textbooks, he had to ultimately go to Burma to form an army which would fight for the freedom of India, the Azad Hind Fauj, because he could not get proper support within his own nation. Gandhi realized this fact. He realized that while worshipping cow, Indians had become like cow. And if a cow has to be moved in herds. So he gave the message, don't give me blood, but I would still give you freedom. And how? You just step out of your house and walk with me. You don't have to fight with anyone. You don't have to carry any weapon. You just walk with me. Where? Let's go to Dandi, the famous Dandi March. And Indians were very comfortable doing that. And he could get support from millions and millions of countrymen. At the same time, a very important fact, Gandhi realized that the British were not as cruel as the Nazis. Had Adolf Hitler been here, he would have thrown Mahatma Gandhi in the acid tank right on the very first day. But the British could not, and they did not. So what did not succeed in any part of the world succeeded in India, the non-violence movement. So Gandhi changed the rules of the game. He revolutionized the theory of leadership to get freedom for the country. And he gave the credit to Bhagavad Gita. What was his policy? He used to observe the people, observe the situation, observe the market, observe the competitors, and formulate the strategies accordingly. So we all appreciate this point, but we don't apply it. And my dear friends, you all must agree that application is more important than appreciation. Over a period of time, management science has divorced itself from cultural thinking. We are not able to see the management education provided by gods for over 3000 years. India has always been a trading community. Business and trade have existed since centuries. So we do actually have a whole body of knowledge available, but it was never spoken in the language of business. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Amar Chitrakatha, Panchatantra, they all are trying to give us some message which we have not been able to understand, and because of which we are still a developing country. US could become a superpower in 200 years, but India not even in 5000 years. Why? Because we were not able to do justice with what was written in our culture. We could have become a country whose growth is determined by the number of Nobel laureates or the per capita patent applications, but we did not. And reason? We are more interested in finding what is Ram Janmabhoomi rather than the ideas of Lord Ram. We only see the idol, not the idea. And leadership is seeing what others cannot see. It is the capability of seeing the invisible. And if you can see the invisible, you can do the impossible. So today we need a synthesis of wisdom of East and the vision of West. We need to apply wisdom of past in the present to generate wealth for tomorrow, which is only possible when we look beyond the apparent, beyond the cosmetic. So let's start this journey. So today we'll try to cover these three topics.